This is TWiT.
Apple, knowing that we would be spending many hours discussing this today on the show, decided to drop a press release early this morning saying that the Worldwide Developers Conference is coming in June 10th, hoping we'd talk about that instead. And now we're going to. WWDC, it's always in June. It's not.
But it's almost always the very first week of June. So this is
it's a little late.
To a little later.
Okay.
Yeah. Could be everything, could be nothing, but we're certainly tempted to think that they have to put together one hell of no longer a slide deck, but one hell of a video on what their AI strategy is going to be.
Yep.
Because this is everything for this. They are facing this is one of the oddest years for Apple, where they are on the back foot on so many different levels. They have to explain to investors why sales in China are continue to tank at an alarming level. They're dealing with a two-front battle between the EU and the DOJ, and also they have to at least defend their choice to spend billions of dollars a year over the past 10 years on the project that they canceled, and on the VR project that's not going to be really a consumer product for the next 3 years. And saying that, okay, we did not miss the boat on AI. We were very, very smart to wait until the technology was mature enough that we could actually see how we could turn this technology into features that our customers will appreciate and enjoy. So that's the argument they have to make. Almost everything they're going to be talking about, I think, is going to be AI.
Or the fact that you can have little gaps in your homepage on iOS 18. I think they're going to spend half an hour on that.
Oh, right.
That'll be
there are a lot of rumors that iOS 18 is a really, really big rewrite. That's the fact
okay, but come on, really, this really shows how little innovation Apple has done on the iOS front. Springboard has been effectively the same since they added folders. I think
the reality is that when we watch an Apple keynote about the phone, we're just waiting for the camera. Like we're just waiting for the,
yes.
and I got to tell you, I was at a concert on Saturday night down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
And I shot some videos. There was this, my daughter likes this band called Wilt, which is an incredibly good band, actually. Especially if you like late 90s, early 2000s, they're new, they're brand new, but they have a great kind of rock and roll kind of sound. And so we went to see, I took my daughter's first concert, and she got to meet because they were opening for another band in a venue of 100 people, so
nice.
So so we got to meet the lead singer, and we got right in front of the stage, and I started taking photos, and I have to say I could not believe what I was taking. Like I kept on looking at it, going, this can't be as good as it looks on my phone, and then the second band came, and we had traded spaces so that someone else could sit for. I didn't care about the second band anyway, so we went to the back. And I took these photos, and I'll see if I can find them. But I took the photo, and I was just like, I cannot believe this is coming off of a phone. I couldn't do it with a DSLR.
I agree.
A couple years ago, to like take it and here's
concert photography is notoriously difficult. Well, I'll show you while you're finding that. I did the same thing. I was trying to decide whether I should take my good camera to see Madonna, and I thought, well, I'll bring the iPhone. And unbelievable stuff I probably couldn't get with a good camera. Not only the zoom, but the way it handles light. Amazing.
Yeah.
Truly amazing. Here's my favorite image. Before you show yours, because you're going to, of course, look better than mine. But that is something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a camera phone, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And
this is this is one of the photos that I took. And if you look at this, for me,
look at that.
It's the detail up here, but then you've got all these little lights, and you've got that's a light behind them.
That's AI, baby. That's computational.
And it's, and so what Apple is spending this is a really good photo from an iPhone.
I have an exact look at this. This is the same problem where you have a huge variety. This is what DSLRs don't do very well, because the lighting's all over the place. But computational photo can say, well, I know that those are spotlights in the roof, and that's just highlighting the hair below, but we can make it balanced. That's like HDR. This is unbelievable what it can do. So I agree with you. That's all we really care about. Yeah.
And so everyone's just waiting for this. So they have, I don't know how.
But they don't traditionally at WWDC talk about cameras.
No, I'm just saying that when we talk about the innovation, there's a lot of innovation in the underlying principles of those things. Like, for instance, it'll be really interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see, like, what format do they give the keynote in? They're going to give us a video. Are they going to shoot it with an iPhone? But also, are they going to do a 3D version? Of the
a Vision Pro version should be really cool.
Vision Pro seems like it's table stakes at this point, but we'll see. But I think that's
how would you shoot
really,
that, Alex? Would you use one of those Canons with the dual lenses and then?
Yeah, I think that there's bigger versions of that. So the Canon is great. Red Raptors are another way to do that with probably a little bit higher frame rate, and then Apple of course bought Next VR, so there's a lot of tech that's inside of Apple that might be interesting to see as well. So I think that between all of those different things, I think we could see something there. But I think that there's a lot of we can talk about like lots of lack of innovation, but I mean, I can't believe some of the places, and again, it's not interesting things. It is relatively boring things that are done very, very well, and I think that's and it's way harder to make features easy to use than it is to make the feature.
Yeah. Also, to be fair, even on the Android side, smartphones have been really largely stagnant for a few years now. It's very, very possible. Kind of like the interior of a car, like a car dashboard. We figured out a long time ago what really works. Also, consumers have not said they want anything materially different from this, so we're kind of stuck with it. This is why AI is such an important feature. This is the difference between we can't really do much with how apps work. No, we can't do very much with the interface, but the ability to screen calls before they come in, that's big. The ability to basically say, look, give me an answer to a question across all the data on my device and do it in a very natural sort of English. That's another big feature. So
yeah, I think that exactly what you just said, which is the real power for Apple is to be able to federate all these different solutions. So you go, Apple manages all the AI inside the device and says, I'm going to look at all those things, and I'm not trying to give you every answer, but I'm letting you interrogate it. Like I emailed Andy 5 years ago about a squirrel, and show me that, and it just pops that up. That would be super powerful beyond like trying to search for Andy, trying to search for squirrel, trying to like the way we do it now is crazy. And then the other side of that though is this talking with Google of being able to say, well, when you go to search for something more open, we're going to tell you that you're going to Google, like you're going to search a Google term. You're going to search, Gemini or whatever, and we're going to let Google answer those questions. And I think that could be really interesting.
I'm sure you talked last week about the announcement or the rumor, that Apple was talking to Google and others about their AI instead of putting Apple's own AI in their phone.
And I think Apple traditionally is not in a rush to do anything. I mean, I know people talk about them needing to be in a rush to do those things. I mean, Apple users are not going anywhere anytime soon. So Apple has the luxury of just kind of like, well, let's take a look at it. Let's figure out the best way to use it and how to make it. I think typically how to make it more, easy to use. And I think that the real challenge Apple has had is their quest for security has made it incredibly difficult for them to make something useful. I mean, Siri's really good at timers and playing music, but not very good at much of anything else, and I think that, and Apple arguably has spent a lot of money on Siri as well. And it's just been hard to, and they can make that bridge that gap. I mean, I know that I went back to Google Maps for something on my phone and I couldn't reacclimate, after years of using Apple, because when it first came out, I would not use Apple Maps. I was just like for years because I just felt like it was not very good. There was some update that I didn't put Google Maps on and it started auto linking, and then before I knew it, I was used to Apple Maps. Then I went back to Google Maps and I was like, oh, this is horrible, and so I think Apple can, when they put enough money behind something, get something that I don't know if it's better than Google Maps, but it's definitely equal. At this point, definitely as far as feature sets. So I think that they could, but it might take them some time. They were way behind on that as well.
But isn't it the case that we like the fact that Apple has chosen to be more secure and private when it comes to AI moving necessarily more slowly?
Yeah, no, I don't think.
And keep the stuff on device. And does it not concern, and I apologize because I'm repeating a conversation I'm sure you had last week, but does it not concern you that they are then talking to other companies about using their AI instead?
It's easier. So the thing is that for Apple to have horrible errors in their AI, hallucinations and everything else is really problematic.
Yeah, they can't.
For them to have Google do it,
let Google do it.
Not problematic. So I think that allowing someone else to take the risk of the answers is definitely something that Apple could do, because inside of their own branding, it's very difficult to do that. And so as long as there's a clear delineation, and they're not saying we're doing this for you. And so I think that that makes it easier for Apple to incorporate some of these things. And again, I use AI every single day, and I use it on my iPhone every single day, and it's not integrated with my iPhone, and I don't really care. If I want an image, I go to Midjourney. If I want to ask for things or try to figure things out, I'm going to mostly ChatGPT, and I don't feel it at all. And so I don't think that they're in a burning house. I think that they are like, hey, we got to incorporate something into this over the next couple of years, and we'll find a good way to do it. But I think sometimes when people are saying Apple absolutely has to do something by June, I don't think Apple feels that way.
Well, also, there has to be a top layer, right? And I think that's what we said last week is that Apple's really done some investment on device models, and of course it's got the hardware that's capable of executing on device models. And I think that's the idea here, is that Apple's secret sauce in many ways is the user experience at the point where the user interfaces with it. So that if they can do that right and build their own model and have it be something that can call other models or use other data sources, some of which are very much like how Siri today will be like, I have to look on the web for this, but with a much better quality answer. It means that they could use Google by default. It means they could use different sources by default. It means they could switch between different sources based on the type of query, right? Like there's a lot of things they could do. And I don't think, and Andy made this point last week, that Apple needs to say, well, we never need to build an LLM that lives in the cloud. I don't think that is the case. I think it's more that they don't need to have it today in order to launch these other features. They can use a partner, and sometimes Apple stays with partners for very long periods of time. But they do need to get the user experience right, and I think they can. I think that's where you start on device, keep it all private, and then go out to sources on the internet in the cloud when they need to. And I think
one of the technically hard things and expensive things to do is to create the model. There's nothing. I don't know how accurate the rumor was, but it may well be that the rumor was merely that they were going to use models from other companies running on device on the iPhone, which would be not a problem at all. It would just be that somebody else did the model.
It's not just the LLM; it's also the tuning that
and Apple might do all the tuning, performs right? On it.
So exactly.
We don't know. The rumor's unclear.
Yeah,
so.
and there's lots of pieces. We mentioned like Shortcuts uses this thing called App Intents, which is essentially you could train a model to know how to run all the other apps on your phone, like they're building shortcuts, except it might even be just ephemeral. And like that goes back to the secret sauce, right? Which is if you've got a model that can go talk to your apps and get data out of them and then process it and give it back to you, that's the kind of stuff that improves the user experience. And Apple has the ability to hook that stuff in there too.
Lately, I've been running a lot of my models locally on my Mac because, of course, the Mac has good machine language co-processing. And it's great because you get much of the benefit. The Mistral model is a very big model, very strong. You download it and you can do this stuff, and it's almost instantaneous. It's really quick. It's funny. It's like, wow, I got that answer already? And it's almost as good as ChatGPT. In many respects, it is as good. So it doesn't mean it has to be running on the cloud.
That is something that occurred to me just a few days ago, that most of the time when I look at this really, really cool like AI tool, like there are a bunch of new tools for upscaling photos and basically taking a screenshot and turning it into a photo, not through generative AI, but really just through heavy math and understanding what noise looks like and what blur looks like. And then I want to download it and check it out. But I was like, oh, well, you need an NVIDIA like 4080 with 32 gigs of video RAM on it, or you need a pair of these cards. I'm wondering how much the top end of AI tools are going to be limited to just like Windows boxes, simply because there really aren't any Macs where you can just stick the required graphics cards in there, because it's these graphics cards that are powering so many of these AI models.
Yeah, I think
on
that
device.
I think Andy's really right. I mean, I think that the real challenge is NVIDIA is. If you didn't see the NVIDIA, Holy smokes!
Yeah,
Like,
$30,000
CEO.
processors. Yeah,
Their
yeah.
eyes just
That
roll back.
was Steve Jobs introducing the iPhone level of giddiness from that CEO. That's a company that knows that we've got something that's
Jensen's
really
doing
good.
a great job.
And
We
I-
covered that,
I
by the
will
way, and
say-
you can watch our stream of it with Jeff Jarvis and Micah Sargent last week.
I will say, for all the things I say about how much I dislike watching people talk on stage, he did such a great job. Like they just did. I mean, NVIDIA really knocked it out of the park, but it also really shows you how this. I mean, beyond many of the things that could catch Apple, not working with NVIDIA and how and the speed at which NVIDIA is moving, it could become problematic over time.
Hey, it's Leo Laporte. If you enjoyed this little snippet of our programming, make sure you check out the full MacBreak Weekly. The link is right down there.